Hey rock and metal guardians, it's Dane. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about something I've been wanting to do for some time now, and that is my top 25 favorite guitarists of all time. So let's jump right in. Coming in at number 25 is the wonderful Carlos Santana, and the word that I think best describes him, at least for me personally, is intoxicating. There's just something intoxicating about his music. It's like a drug. So I also describe his music as soulful, spiritual. He's also powerful. Exotic is a great word, of course. The type of music that he plays is very exotic. And he can be quite heavy at times. So number 25, definitely Carlos Santana. 24 is Chris DeGarmo. Now, he was in Queensryche from the initial EP through and including Here in the Now Frontier. But he also contributed some tracks on the Tribe album. And I don't think he played on any of the songs, but I know he did contribute to 4 or 5 songs that made its way on the Tribe album. I don't personally like the Tribe album much, maybe one song. And I used to like Here in the Now Frontier, but I listen to it now. I don't care to listen to it. Just, your taste of certain things change. But those his stint in the band from the EP through and including Promised Land are just great. And they're powerful too. And there's something to be said for the chemistry he had with Jeff Tate. And, of course, with the rest of the band as well, but mostly that synergy he and Jeff had. So got to give props to Chris DeGarmo. 23 is Glenn Tipton. I saw Judas Priest when I was a young man, 16 years old, 1986. They played at the Gulf Coast Coliseum in Mississippi. And I've already liked Judas Priest, and that's why I went. But this really affirmed my love for the band. And they're my favorite twin guitar band of all time. So Glenn Tipton at 23. Coming in at number 22 is Joe Walsh. Whether we're talking about his stint in Eagles or the James Gang or his solo career. I remember seeing the Confessor video when it first came out on MTV, and my esteem for Joe Walsh went even higher. So anyway, Joe Walsh is number 22. 21 is Phil Campbell of Motorhead. Boy, he stepped into some big shoes, replacing Fast Eddie Clarke, and him and Mickey D carrying the torch. And I just love his overall guitar style. That his playing is just heavy, monstrous. It's rockin'. Just love it. So Phil Campbell, I have to include him in this list of my top 25. And next, of course, is Fast Eddie Clarke himself coming in at number 20. One of my favorite guitarists. And he makes the cut of the top 20. And I discovered Motorhead when I was 14 or 15 in high school. I remember flipping through like a circus magazine or something, and Hit Parade, Lord knows. And I remember seeing a picture of all 3 of them. And I was like, wow, I've never heard of this band before. And then, lo and behold, one of my friends saw the magazine, and he said, dude, I got some of this, and started listening. So definitely Fast Eddie Clarke, number 20. Number 19 is Yngwie Malmsteen. And while I don't like everything Yngwie has done, those first 3 albums are my favorite. There's some later stuff that I like. And why I include him here is because of his revitalization of bringing us back into the fold of the neoclassical style of guitar. So he brought that back. Obviously a Ritchie Blackmore fan. And, of course, the music's great. His guitar playing is powerful and wonderful and majestic at times, and just like Carlos Santana, it's intoxicating and inspiring as well. So I have to include Yngwie here. Next, number 18 is Chicago's Terry Kath. Amazing guitarist for someone who has to work with horns and all type of instruments for the Chicago Transit Authority, and then becoming Chicago, dropping that part of the moniker after the first album. And no one else sounds like Terry. So, and for me, my 25 guitarists, for the most part, they don't sound like anyone else. So, for the most part. So anyway, props to Terry Kath for his amazing guitar style, amazing playing, just a virtuoso for his genre, or I should say genres, kind of proggy at times. So that helps my bias towards prog. So Terry Kath, number 18. Number 17 is the wonderful Steve Hackett. Whether we're talking about his solo career, his stint in Genesis, as you know, the the other members of Genesis, or some of them, wouldn't let Hackett shine as much, and they held him back. In other words, so that's the phrase I was looking for. They held him back, so hence him going solo. And while I don't like all of Steve Hackett's solo stuff, I like a good chunk of it, maybe 2/3. And I just re-listened to his first solo album, Voyage of the Acolyte, last night, and it doesn't get old. And he's also revitalized the Genesis catalog by playing a lot of the old Genesis stuff live and putting them out on CDs, and I have some of that stuff. So great all-around guitarist. Number 16 is Mick Taylor from the Rolling Stones, and while he only had a short stint in the Rolling Stones after Brian Jones, who was on the Beggar's Banquet CD, and then Mick Taylor joins the band after that CD. And so we have Sticky Fingers, Exile on Main Street, Goat's Head Soup, It's Only Rock and Roll, and I think I'm missing one there. But when including Beggar's Banquet plus Mick Taylor's joining the band, his run with the band is my favorite era of the Stones, so I have to include Mick Taylor there. So number 15 is George Lynch, and discovered Dokken in high school, and my favorite hair metal band, I guess, if you want to use that term. And as a teenager, just blown away, and still blown away. I only liked the first 4 or 5 Dokken albums, but those guitar solos and his style of playing, that shredding style, he's one of my favorite shredders. So got him in here at number 15. Next, at number 14 is David Gilmour. Wish You Were Here, Animals, The Wall, I think are his best playing. Of course, he goes all the way back to A Saucer Full of Secrets, replacing, or at the time, partly replacing Syd Barrett. And his style of blues playing, just especially on like Dogs and Sheeps and Pigs, but those 3 albums, is just, David Gilmour's fantastic. Number 13, it might surprise some people, but Tommy Shaw. And just as a taste of the great guitar tone and style of music that Tommy Shaw brings to the table, if you listen to Blue Collar Man, and you have the lyrics, I close my eyes and maybe I'm already there, and then he begins the solo. Oh my God, that's just, I'm just thinking about it right now, I'm getting goosebumps. Tommy Shaw's guitar tone is one of my favorite. It's more about tone, but tone is huge with me, as it is to most people who are guitar nuts like myself. So yeah, 13 is Tommy Shaw. Number 12 is Robert Fripp, innovative in creating Frippertronics and the whole tape loop machine, and playing very avant-garde, but yet with a taste of classical and jazz. So have to include Robert Fripp here, number 12. Number 11 is Jimi Hendrix. While having a small studio career, and for the most part an extensive live collection of material, I have to include him despite the small studio. Only 3 albums, really. There's some posthumous stuff, and if you count those, yeah, sure. And I have some of that, but those first 3 albums are very powerful, and there's such an impact. And I got to include him. The Univibe sound, just all around great guitarist, so inspirational for so many people. I mean, look how he inspired Robin Trower and Uli John Roth, right? And us music fans in general, just so many people. So just a rich guitar player, also inspirational, so, and intoxicating. So John McLaughlin, number 10. And whether he's playing with Miles Davis, the Mahavishnu Orchestra, and then that one-off, the Trio of Doom. If you don't have that CD or album, Trio of Doom, highly suggest you get that. It's short, but it's quite good. And he can play heavy with the best of them. He can play, jazz, of course, and all kind of different styles. So just Birds of Fire CD, that's my favorite album that he plays on. Wow. So John McLaughlin at number 10. Number 9 is KK Downing. And like I said, I saw them live. I like as much as I like Glenn Tipton, there's something for me personally more inspiring about the way KK Downing plays. And I'll just leave it at that. I'm just a big fan. Number 8 is Tony Iommi. and the father of heavy metal, if you will. Great riffing, great soloing. If you know his style when he was with Ozzy, his style was more slow and heavy and that drudgy, sludgy kind of groove and stoner and doom kind of stuff, the pioneer of that, right? But then Dio joins the band, and he's soloing fast and shredding his butt off on songs like Lonely is the Word, and I can't think of it, the last song on Mob Rules, just two examples. So just a great guitar player, the grandfather of heavy metal, if you will, or father of heavy metal. Number 7 is Ace Frehley, and this is partly nostalgic and biased. Ace Frehley was the first guitarist I ever got into, and his tone is one of my favorites. So I just love Ace Frehley. Number 6 is Matt Pike, and I saw Sleep play. He's also on High on Fire, and I prefer High on Fire to Sleep, but I saw Sleep live, and of course, like Tony Iommi, he can play the slow, drudgy, sludgy, doom stuff, but his soloing when he plays fast and shreds, it's just amazing. So Matt Pike, number 6. Number 5 is Dave Mustaine, my favorite thrash metal guitarist of all time. And I'll leave it at that. Number 4, Michael Schenker of UFO and the Michael Schenker Group. When I first heard Rock Bottom, just totally blown away. His stuff with the Scorpions, 2 albums, Love Drive, and the first album, Lonesome Crow. So, and there's some other things besides those 3 artists or bands, but just one of my favorite guitar. It's hard for me to put into words why Michael Schenker is number 4, but he is. Number 3 and number 2 flip-flop often with me, but lately number 3 has been Jimmy Page. Often number 2 for the longest time. Often Jimmy Page. One more time. Jimmy Page for the longest time was number 2, but he's now at number 3. Some people have described his guitar playing lately as choppy or stuttering or sloppy. I disagree. Great guitar player. He's a blues player, as you know, and I like the blues style very, very much. His style anyway. So number 3, Jimmy Page. Number 2 used to be number 3 for years and years and years is Ritchie Blackmore. That neoclassical style. Now, do I like neoclassical style more than blues? No, I like them equally. I listen to Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin equally, but for whatever reason, I've got Ritchie Blackmore at number 2, just by a smidge. So number 2 is Ritchie Blackmore. And finally, number 1, coming in at number 1 is Alex Lifeson. And tomorrow I'm going to do a separate video on why Alex Lifeson is my favorite guitarist. So all I'll say now is he's at the top of his game when it comes to skill, but he plays from the heart. He's so dynamic, and he just resonates with me the most. So there you have it. Those are my top 25 favorite guitarists of all time. My personal favorite, just a few runners-up or on the cusp guitarists. I'm going to leave someone out. It's just the name of the game. So Kirk Hammett has fallen in my favorite because I really only like the first 4 or 5 albums with him. Everything else, and that one song on the new album, Inamorata. Mick Box, Eddie Van Halen, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Randy Rhoads, just a short career, but I got to include him. Paul Tonka Chapman of UFO replacing Michael Schenker. Pete Willis, that guitar tone on High and Dry. Oh my God, I thought this was the second coming. Well, I'm 15. I thought this was the second coming of Jimmy Page in so many ways. Anyway, so I have to include Pete Willis. I get why he stopped playing, but I got to include him. That guitar tone, as I said, is just powerful and amazing. Al Di Meola, James Young of Styx, John Sykes, Rich Williams and Kerry Livgren of Kansas. Totally underrated. Rick Emmett of Triumph. When I heard him play at the US Festival on MTV, and of course the albums, the US Festival, that cemented it. Just great soloist, great guitar player all around. Dimebag Darrell. And last but not least, the great and powerful and intoxicating as well, Rory Gallagher. Anyway, thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining the channel if you have. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.